the criticisms of these anachronisms are really the result of misunderstanding the process of writing, transmitting, and redacting ancient documents. The Book of Abraham doesn't face any challenges in this regard that the Bible or other ancient documents face. It's typical that as a document goes through multiple hands of copying and through generations and generations of use and reuse, that the scribes who would copy these things would often insert things that made it make sense in their day. New names, new ideas, new groups. That's a very common thing. The Bible is riddled with this, so are other ancient documents. It's one of my jobs as an Egyptologist is to sift through these things and try and figure out what has come in later and what would have been part of the original. The Book of Abraham exhibits these kinds of tendencies in the same way that every other ancient document does. For example, Ur of the Chaldees is noted in the Book of Abraham, but it's also noted in Genesis from the same time period and is anachronistic there. We find even Josephus and other later writers are using this, and it works for them, but it doesn't work for that Genesis period. That's not to be surprising, because this was probably inserted by later writers in both Genesis and the Book of Abraham. It's especially not surprising with the Book of Abraham because we know that by the time the copy we have was created, that Jewish culture had become an important part of Egyptian life. And they were influencing Egyptian documents, and Egyptians were influencing Jewish documents. And we're always having to sift through these various cultural elements. So this is exactly what we would expect of a manuscript from this time period. What we do have are a few names that just are dead ringers. We've got words like Kolob, places like Jershon and Olishem. These are things that Joseph Smith couldn't just make up and end up being right on. My colleagues and I have written about some of these things, and you can find examples of these articles at mormonchallenges.org.